We have a game-changing archaeological discovery to share with you right from the shadows of the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. It's a discovery that might just be writing our understanding of Jewish history in Zion. Israeli tour guide Yoav Rotem joins us now. So Yoav, first off, what is this thing? And secondly, most importantly, how is this changing our understanding of history in Israel?
Shalom Raj and happy Hanukkah, everyone. So first of all, we're talking about literally a little pendant. It was found in the southwestern corner of the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, a site that you and I have been together many times, and we always excited over there because there's many things to see and to share, and it's a place that you really understand Jerusalem from there. You know it. This little pendant of a menorah made out of lead basically has two sides of a Jewish menorah on it that someone was wearing, for sure a Jew, is dated to about 1400 years ago, which means the end of the Byzantine time. Which means if you know what happened in Jerusalem back then, we know that Jews were not allowed in Jerusalem these days. And it's actually showing us maybe a Jew visited Jerusalem or was living in Jerusalem back then. This is maybe the game changer, although I will add to it that we do have some more bricks to the house to understand that we might have already a greater understanding that this end of Byzantine time, there was a shift over there, maybe. But it's actually helping us to understand the picture. Maybe we should go back and understand why Jews cannot be in Jerusalem and what's the menorah, generally. Menorah is one of the items that used to be in the temple itself. It was created by Aaron and the Levites and in the desert while the Jews or the Israelites were were in Sinai, and it comes to the temple when Solomon builds it. It's made out of gold. It's a very, very important item to give light in the temple, and actually right before the second temple was destroyed, we start seeing it in archaeology as the main and almost the ultimate emblem of saying, "Hey, I am a Jew." Which means it's a decoration that people will put on walls, on floors, on jewelries, everything that we found from that time. Probably, I don't know, maybe they've had more things as a Jewish emblem, way before the Star of David became a Jewish emblem. And unfortunately, after the temple got destroyed, the Jews were not really allowed in Judea and in Jerusalem, but we still have fragments of information and findings that shows us the Jews stayed until the end of the Bar Kokhba uprising. Bar Kokhba uprising is one ending in 135 AD, and basically since then we have a Roman veto for Jews coming into Jerusalem. Later on, the Romans becomes Christian empire, the Byzantine empire, and still Jews were not allowed in Jerusalem for a long time. We don't always have the full picture, but it seems like, the Jerusalem became a Christian city. We have the Roman structure of the city, the Church of Holy Sepulchre, and many other churches. Jews were not really living in the city that time. But then we start finding in this specific area, first of all, this amazing pendant that was never found like that before in the entire land of Israel. It's very unique. But together with that, we have some buildings with decorations of menorah over there right before the Islam is coming. So that's something very interesting that gives us, again, a Jewish shadow, a Jewish light, if you wish, into this area of Jerusalem and into the land in times of the light of Hanukkah being celebrated.
Well, I think it's such a fascinating layer of history that's often misunderstood. I think there is a perception that the Jews were in the land of Israel until 70 AD. Rome destroys everything, and the Jews were kicked out for 2,000 years. And there were no Jews in the land of Judea until magically 1948 happened. Obviously, that's not true, but that's the narrative that's kind of thrown around. Maybe can you add some context? Were there Jews living in Israel from 70 AD till 1948.
Okay, so maybe I didn't clarify it well before. We have to differentiate between Jerusalem and Judea and some other parts of Israel, because we do have families that we can really see today or until the 20th century that can see their ancestry in the Galilee all the way back to 70, all the way back to the time of Jesus, if you wish, the time of Second Temple. Jews were living in Judea until 135, until Adrian is kicking them out. But that's for a short time, because we do have evidence for Jewish communities, synagogues and others in some areas around Jerusalem, what we call Judea, the land of Judea, land of Judah. If it's just, for example, the synagogue of En Gedi, it's even right by the Dead Sea. Gaza City, we have a synagogue from right before the Islam is coming. There's a beautiful mosaic that is in the Israel Museum of King David playing the harp. Have you seen it? I don't know if we ever. It's unbelievable. It was taken because, of course, after they found it, it would be damaged if it stayed there. So many other places we do have Jews. So 70, there is a destruction, but still Jews in Judea, obviously until 135 AD. And then there is a big kick out, mainly from Jerusalem and from Judea. But in Judea itself, around Jerusalem, we have a lot of community throughout the Byzantine time, and obviously during the Muslim time, and and on. Always there were Jews in the land. Not many all the time, but
Yeah, and I think that's what's interesting is because there's this this misconception that I even had, right? That everything basically there was this 2,000-year gap and nothing happened in between. But Tel Aviv, for example, was founded decades before the state of Israel was reestablished. Or obviously the early Zionist movement in the 1800s. But there were Jews. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there was like a Jewish majority in Jerusalem. What's that statistic that
1830s. 1830s. You have Jewish majority in Jerusalem, even before Jerusalem started to be built out of the city walls of today. And and obviously, people talking a lot about it these days about because of the conflict and but it's ridiculous. There's way before there was a Jewish state in 48. There were Jews over here, and there was not mentioning that even before 48, the Jews were ready for a state, but some delays happened.
And I think this discovery, this incredible discovery from kind of an obscure time, 6th century or 600s, is absolutely fascinating. It just adds a layer because I think the story of the Jewish people, again, even the name Jewish comes from Judea, obviously comes from Judah, and there has been a desire of the Jewish people, next year in Jerusalem to return to their ancestral, ancient, indigenous homeland. For centuries and millennia. And so this idea that Israel just popped out of nowhere is just so anti-historical, anti-factual. And I think it's just disingenuous and lazy intellectually to think that's the story. And I think this discovery is yet another layer to that 4,000 years of Jewish ties, Hebrew ties to the land of Israel. So I just think this is absolutely fascinating. But you mentioned it, Yoav. You mentioned that we're in Hanukkah. And obviously that has to do with the lighting of the candelabra as well, lighting of the menorah. And so maybe in closing, my friend, and this is a hard shift, but I just feel like it's incumbent upon us to talk about it for one last question. We are now in Hanukkah and we're talking about a menorah from 1,400 years ago. How are you processing what happened in Australia during a Hanukkah celebration when another menorah was being, lit in a celebration? How are you, and how do you think the Jewish people are handling this moment spiritually, emotionally? What lessons can we learn from other times where the menorah was taken? Right, the Arch of Titus in Rome was, the Romans bragging about the destroying of Jerusalem, and what do they put on their arch right across from the Colosseum? The menorah. It's all across history. So I do think it's extraordinarily related. It's all one story. So I'll give you the floor, my brother. In closing, what are you thinking in this moment?
Hanukkah is the holiday that actually combine all the three most important Jewish foundations: God, the temple, the Torah, and the land of Israel. Also, I mean, maybe we should add another one: the people of Israel, the community. And in Hanukkah, we celebrate obviously the light of God. We celebrate also all together as people, and the story of Hanukkah and the redemption, the rededication of the temple is not just happening somewhere in middle of nowhere. It's happening in Judea, in Jerusalem, in the land of Israel, and it's so important to remember it. What happened in Australia is horrifying on one hand, and it's horrible, and after October 7th, we've seen these things, and we have to be careful. We have to protect ourselves. We have to understand it, but we have to keep on fighting. And I think we can't let this evil take over. We can't let this evil take over our life and to win. And I think the reaction, and you can see Jewish communities all around the world not surrendering and keep on lighting the candles and doing it publicly together with everyone who's joining, especially here in the land. And I'll take us back for the pendant for a moment. I just led a Jewish group here in the land, and all of them were wearing somehow a kind of a Jewish emblem. Today you can wear a Jewish star or a chai, and I just started with it. If you noticed, this little pendant that someone was wearing was it's saying, I am a Jew. I'm here in my homeland, in my holy city, next to the place where the temple will be rebuilt, and I'm here. And that's something that many people still believe. Obviously they see it and they keep on having their faith to it, and they won't hide it, and they again won't let the hope to break. And I think this hope is for the whole world. So let's bring the light of Hanukkah, the light of God, to everyone.
Amen and amen, my brother. Well, happy Hanukkah. Todah rabah, achi. Love you, Yoav. God bless, my friend.